Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up, my G.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? How in the world are you? This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and we're here once again live in the booth, recording and providing another great episode that is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We are here inside of our beta room in the Asian Sensation Studios, and once again, it feels great to be here to do what I do and just to enjoy the moment. You know, because if there's one thing that I love more than anything, it's to do this and to record and to provide great episodes for you guys to listen to have some kind of enjoyment, enrichment, and that's why we're here. That is why we are here. That is why we are doing what we do, and we do it very well. Or at least I like to say that we do it very well. So, yeah, I mean, here in the chair, sitting down, being a little bit comfortable. And, yeah, it's, you know, depending on when you're listening to it, we're about to approach the month of August. And, man, I got to tell you, summer really went by. It went by so fast. Like you know, boom, like a flash. Am I surprised? Not really. You know, most of the summers, you know, you have like 3 months, so you basically do what you can do. I just feel bad for all the kids out there that are still students in school, like elementary school and middle school and high school and universities, because they do have to come back. They had a nice little hiatus for about 3 months, and I know, because I'm thinking from that kid logic, sometimes, depending on the individual, the last thing you want to do is that you want to go back to school, you know, after being off for so long. Well, I got to tell you something, kids. Sometimes going back to school is really not a bad thing. You know, you get to see all your friends again, hang out, have a good time. It's another great year of your educational life, you know, advancing to the next level. And it's good, you know, it's great for, you know, all those challenges and just to be there in that moment. So there you go. As always, Hector is always around helping out. He was here earlier giving me some show notes and, you know, helping me kind of get ready for certain things here and there for this great episode. But he had to jet out a little bit early, so I don't blame him for that. So, you know, either way, he was here. He was helping. Yes, that brother is going to get paid, and I'm not mad about it. That, you know, I think that, you know, you got to do what you got to do, Hector, you know. So much love and respect to you, my man. Much love and respect. Today we're going to go ahead and record some great stuff. There are some things that I'm going to be comfortable with because it's kind of in my wheelhouse. And then there will be some things, obviously, that are going to be a little bit more challenging that I normally don't address. But we're going to do our best to do what we can to talk it out and to present it and have a good time with it. Or at least, you know, present it so that, once again, you, the audience, are, you know, informed of the material that I share out with you guys. So there it is. And we'll see how it goes. I have a good feeling. But then again, every time that I do come here and I create a new episode and I, you know, give that stuff to you guys, it is incredible and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And, you know, here we are. So let's just go ahead and get it going. I want to talk about and open it up about the martial arts, about that world. But most specifically, I want to talk about how there are, you know, disrespect in the martial arts. You know what I mean? Now, I know what you're thinking. Disrespecting the martial arts, that's kind of weird because, normally when you think about the martial arts, you think about like the respect and the camaraderie and just like, showing love for your fellow martial artist, no matter what the discipline that they train in or, what martial art organization they belong to, and et cetera, et cetera. And yes, for the most part, the respect is there. And you think that, and that is not far from the truth. But, in life, there are two sides to the coin. There is a heads, and then there's a tails. The heads part, we saw, we recognized and acknowledged that there is a respect, and that's good. The other side of the coin is what we're going to be talking about, which is the disrespect in martial arts. And it's something that does happen in that industry. And, some people, in like, regular average Joes that may not study martial arts schools, and organizations try to impose their, their status on others to establish some kind of dominance in that field. And to those that are experienced in their field of martial arts, of what they study and so forth in general, by being a martial artist. And they do that by any and every means necessary. Why? Because they feel that, they want to establish, to let people know that they're the alphas and what they do is correct and their style is correct, their organization is correct. And while everybody else, whatever that they're doing, is absolute asinine, it's messed up, it's not the correct way, as I'm throwing air quotes, and I'm thinking, holy crap, like, for real? Like, yeah. Now, you're probably wondering the how and the why, and I basically will break it down to a couple of key elements, and then I'll give an example. Now, the how and the why. Like, example, there's disrespect in the martial arts because maybe it's the system of the martial art that's being taught. And this is when certain martial artists make fun of a martial art that they see and find more flaws in that art rather than focusing on the positives, often trying to defend their style as the more superior art. This does happen more than people think. Again, this is a thing where it's okay, I'm going to throw this out as an example. Say for example that I am a Japanese karate teacher, and the stuff that we do, it's been proven, it's been shown, and we like what we do, and it's it's very, very effective, and the way that I teach things is incredible. But let's just say, for example, and I'm just going to take a random martial art, like say example that I look at a random martial art like Salat, you know what I mean, and to some systems, Kung Tao Salat, being that it's a unique martial art style from Indonesia. Now, obviously, you look at Salat and you look at karate, it's two different systems, two different trains of thoughts, and two different types of philosophies. You know what I mean? I could look at Salat and I could possibly disrespect it because of the way that I feel like the stuff that they do is wasted movement. That it's just the philosophy is incorrect, and that the fact that you're doing all these things and it's just like what is that doing? What does that prove? It doesn't prove anything to me. And I go ahead and I disrespect it by saying that maybe, and I don't mean this honestly, guys, because again, I'm saying it as an example. So when I say that I'm saying it as an example, it doesn't mean that I mean it. But I could be that jerk and say, for example, hey, I think Salat is crap and it's dumb and it's the worst thing ever. I would only say that, and people would only say that because they look at that type of system and they're not very knowledgeable in that system, in that art. So it's easy for them to kind of throw that judgment and be disrespectful and to be a critic and to throw a lot of hate and shade. And it does happen. People do the same thing where they talk about, kung fu is stupid, or maybe judo is stupid and things like that. Well, you say your opinion, but you don't really know about the facts about the art and the effectiveness of it. So because you don't have a much broader knowledge base in those arts that you don't train in and don't study, it's kind of easy for you to make those arts a target. And that kind of, to me, I feel like that's unnecessary and that's wrong. Why are you going to disrespect the martial art system that's being taught out there when we as martial artists are out there to help our fellow man and to make sure that they get the right training to defend themselves by any and every means necessary? It is like my friend. I actually talked to a good friend of mine. His name is Mark. And he had said, when it comes to teaching martial arts to young children and family, the mental and cultural aspect of it are almost, if not almost, it's very important than the physical components themselves. And that, we should embrace the positivity of what the martial art is all about, no matter what system it is, and teach it in a way that all martial artists should, with, positivity, knowledge, understanding, this sort of stuff. You know what I mean? Because, it's already bad enough as it is where, you have kids and sometimes adults who are bullied and have low self-confidence. And, martial arts as a whole builds that confidence and gives individuals that type of structure. And if you basically bash the martial art that they're trying to train in, that's going to make them have a little bit of a complex. Not good. Another form of disrespect in the martial arts that people pick on is the curriculum. Now, certain schools focus on certain aspects of the art, from their curriculum that they created for their school and possibly their school's, systems and organization. There will be critics that will nitpick and give their negative opinions. So, example, sparring, which is fighting. About most of martial arts schools will have that involved in there. Now, there's some people that actually teach it a certain way, where it's just like, hey, we're teaching it for to spar with self-control. Also make sure that you work on certain movements and just have a good time. Some people spar with the intention that, it's not just for life, but it's for competition. And it's like they're thinking, well, I don't understand why you're not teaching in this way because it's a dog-eat-dog world. You should teach them when they spar to, spar with the intent of taking them out. Do whatever it takes to stop them. Whether if you need to stomp on them or break a kneecap or something like that. And, the way that you're teaching how to spar and so forth is really bogus and it's ineffective and it's for sissies. I'm not saying that every martial arts school would say that, but there are definitely some that try to, again, impose their will. They're trying to, say it with their chest and say it with false bravado. Don't know why, but it does happen. You know what I mean? To that I say, everybody has a way of teaching it, with the type of variety of knowledge that we're trying to give out there to all the students and all the, would-be potential, martial artists that wants to train in that art. whatever works is whatever works. I don't think that one is better than the other. It's just, what you think is effective and what makes sense, so that, you can teach your students and that they can actually accept the knowledge and apply it when necessary. If you're training for the wrong reasons, or teaching the wrong stuff for the wrong reasons, just to either get ahead or to establish that dominance and kind of be like I hate to use the term, be like a meathead, kind of like an instructor, you really lost it there. You really, really lost it. Some people actually show disrespect in the martial arts about how others do their operations, where certain schools deal with, day-to-day operations, everything of from how to teach a class, organizing events like, fun activities like a movie night, or, certain karate parties, seminars, and so forth. Communication by either doing a lot of social media or even advertising online. Now, I never really thought that there was any issue with that, but there are some out there that, once again, the disrespect is in the air somewhere, and they have to nitpick about the operations. It's just like, why are you teaching a class this way? Why you have to incorporate a game? Games are for kids, and that's stupid. And why are you babying them? Why are you treating them like you're training them like kids when they're adults? Or why are you treating them like kids when they're teenagers? Why are you trying to organize events that have nothing to do with your system? And this is stupid that you're actually bringing somebody from a different art to come teach a seminar. And it's dumb. Why are you doing social media? It's a waste of time. Social media is for idiots. Advertising online is for idiots, when you should actually go ahead and put it out there, the old school way. A lot of people like to throw that shade, and it sucks. And there was one thing earlier. That I looked at, and I was really shocked about it, because when I saw it and I read it, to me it was a form of bashing. It was a sign of disrespect in my eyes. This came online on social media from a person who is a big prominent name in the martial arts. This guy is an authority in the martial arts. I will even go as far to say, and I don't want to mention names, but this person actually won a gold medal in the Olympics, for a martial art event. Now, I'm going to say this about the person in general. I have a lot of respect for this person in general. You're a martial artist, you have a high-ranking position, and that, to me, starting is something that tells me you're an authority of martial arts, or at least in an authority of a specific martial art. So I got to give you credibility there. The fact that you competed in the Olympics for the United States of America, representing, the United States, and winning a gold medal, that's fantastic. Nobody's questioning, your credentials. Nobody's questioning, what you did, because to earn a gold medal is, in my mind, very legendary. Not many people have made it to the Olympics, and a few of them, it's hard to achieve that gold medal, but he earned it. Well, he posted something on his social media page, and it reads, "Welcome to the New World." And there was a picture of basically a hand-drawn ninja, and it says Bujinkan Ninjutsu, the art of ninja. And it was explaining about, what it was all about, the days that, the ninja classes are being taught, what age it caters to and at what times. Like they said, Monday through Wednesdays we're teaching here. Our Little Ninjas class is from 5:30 to 6 p.m. Our youth class is from 6 to 7 p.m. Our adult class is from 7 to 8. And once again, that's from Monday and Wednesday. Sundays, we have youth and adult at the same time for 11 a.m. until 12 p.m. Now, I will say this. To the credit of the person that actually, made that, drawing and put that right there outside, right over in the window for people to see it. I get it. It's a form of advertising. You're advertising something about what you're trying to do, and that's cool. Now, the way that I see it is that, could there have been a way to approach it a little bit better? Probably. In terms of advertisement, probably. Now, I'll say this respectfully. I do appreciate the old school way of advertising, but, there are other avenues in order to get it across and to advertise even more to a broader audience. This person in general basically was downplaying this whole situation. And I felt like that was kind of wrong. Whether if you were trying to disrespect Bujinkan Jiu-Jitsu, whether if you were disrespecting the way that this person was trying to advertise, or whatever. Where I come from culturally, from my world of the martial arts, how I was brought up, is that we respect everybody. We respect every person, every martial artist. We respect, the art that they train in, you know what I mean? And so forth. Now, if there was something that you would say like, hey, maybe, that martial art is not for you, I don't think there's anything wrong in saying that, but I think there's definitely a way that you can be a little bit more, I guess you can just say a little bit more politically correct and gentle rather than sounding like a jerk. Like example, I have a lot of respect for, the Olympic style of Taekwondo, which is the World Taekwondo Federation. And I respect the fact that it came from, a branch. It's a branch of traditional Taekwondo, but it was formed into its own thing. I think it's great. I think it's a martial art that keeps people busy and it gets the body moving. But I just feel like it's not for me. And the main reason why I would say it, and I would say it in a respectful way, is just because, philosophically, I just don't think that, that style of Taekwondo clicks with me and what I believe in. But more power to you. You know what I mean? I think that's fair. But if you're just going to go ahead and bash the art and bash the way that they do things, that's where I think a lot of people draw the line. Because at that point, you're not being a true martial artist. It's not being mature. You just make yourself look bad. Even though I would even say, and this coming from a person that's really highly decorated as a martial artist, that is a gold medalist, to that I just say, sir, I have a lot of respect for you. I really do. And I think that you're incredible. But the way that you did this was absolutely wrong. And that's not cool and that's not fair. So, don't disrespect a martial art that you know nothing about. You know what I mean? Learn a little bit about it and try to have an understanding about it. Don't disrespect the way that they run their program and the curriculum that they try to teach. Don't disrespect the team behind, said school and so forth. You know what I mean? Have love and respect for everybody. You know what I mean? Where I come from, if you can't say nothing nice, don't say it at all, man. You know what I mean? So again, if there's a martial art that I may not agree with and I don't like, I'm not going to bash it. I'm just going to say, hey, it's not for me. And I'm sure that it has positive qualities like all martial arts do, and philosophically with what they train in, it's effective in some way, and it's been proven, and God bless it. You know what I mean? That's all I have to say. But that being said, we're going to go ahead and take a little break. We'll come right back. We're going to, have more on the Kim Hoang podcast experience. We'll have another segment. This segment will probably be a little bit more challenging. I'm a little nervous about it, but I'm here and I'm ready to go. So guys, do what you need to do. Take 5. Go ahead and drink water or go to the restroom, whatever. Come right back, because we are back and we will be back in full force. The Kim Hoang podcast experience is up and running, and we're happy to be here, and we're happy to cook you up a serving for your great appetite pleasure of podcasting listening. We'll see you guys in a bit. Stay tuned. Ever wanted to make a podcast but didn't know how to do it or where to go? Does the idea of pursuing podcasting sounds great, but you're afraid of the expenses that you have to invest in? Then look no further than Spotify for Podcasters. They have the tools that you need to create the perfect podcast episode that you want, whether if you want to create it in an audio and or video podcasting form. To those that already podcast, Spotify for Podcasters can help you upload your already completed audio/video podcasts to all of the podcasting platforms that you have a membership to. And the best part is that this is 100% free. No hidden costs, no monthly fees, because you don't have to give them your credit card information, and because Spotify for Podcasters want to help by giving back to everybody. So check them out at podcasters.spotify.com and download their app for free on the Google Play Store and or the Apple App Store. Spotify for Podcasters.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang podcast experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody. All right. Welcome back to the Kim Hoang podcast experience. We are back from the break, and we hope that you enjoyed your little intermission. I'm not sure if you were actually in the kitchen getting something to eat, or if you were drinking some water, or you actually stepped out to take a phone call, or whatever, breathing outside. We're just glad that you're back, and I'm glad that I'm back with you. I just basically took some time to myself, was breathing a little bit and just kind of getting myself into the right mindset. I did get a little bit of a message reminding that after this episode that we're going to create, we do have to do a little bit of some tidying up over in the Asian Sensation Studios, because in my opinion, it doesn't really look bad, but it could be a little bit better in presentation. Do I really want to do that? Let's just put it this way. It's not so much of a want, but it's kind of like, hey, let's just go ahead and get it done. And, a studio that looks pretty good will be a thing where we feel good just looking at it. You know what I mean? So it's a good thing. It's a real good thing. But until then, we are creating great content with you guys, and we are sharing it with you guys. We're sharing it all over the world, not just in the United States, but also in places of Canada, South America, like Brazil, all over Europe, possibly in Asia, maybe even in Australia and New Zealand and all those places. Yeah, we're sharing it worldwide. And I think this is the great thing that a lot of people don't understand, that with podcasts, it's just not just limited to where you're from. For me, it's not just limited to Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia. You know, it's all over. It's spreading all over worldwide, and we share this worldwide with everybody because we want people to be a part of our family. We want people to listen to what we have to say. We want people to actually say, you know what, this guy is really good. We give him so much credit for just doing what he loves to do and for the attempt, and we're following him because we love that. You know, we love that that warrior spirit in him that he translate over here in the podcasting world. Now, I know that I'm not, again, I've said this like a broken record. I'm not really anything of the big time. You know, I'm not a Joe Rogan. I am not Stephen A. Smith. I am not even Steve Harvey. You know what I mean? I'm just a guy that's doing something that he loves to do. And it's a great thing. Like, I love it. You know, it's a great creative medium. It's a part of the creative process. And anybody who's in the world of creativity, you can probably appreciate this, you know, the most. Not saying that anybody else in general wouldn't appreciate it, but for those that are creative people out there, I think that you could appreciate, you know, what we're trying to do here. Just as much as I appreciate you guys doing whatever it is that you do in your form of creativity. Like if you are a cook trying to be a chef and doing a lot of great things with food, or if you're a singer or, you know, a musician in a band, if you're in the arts of being like a photographer, a painter, a sculptor, whatever. You know, anything that does creativity, you name it, dancing, I support it. And I think it's great. And I can respect it because that's your world. That is your world. You know, and I think it's awesome that us creative people do need to stick together. You know what I mean? It is an unsaid brotherhood. It's an unsaid fraternity. And sometimes, depending on, you know, the situation, it could be a sorority. You know, either way, we're all brothers and sisters when it comes to being creative people. And that's our thing. Just like we're brothers and sisters in life, you know, we're there to love each other and support each other and just say, you know, hey man, or hey girl, guess what? You're doing great things. And I see the progression. I see where it's going. And guess what? You will have my 100% loyalty in following no matter what, because I believe in you. And I think that what you're doing is incredible. Is absolutely incredible. We're going to go ahead and segue now into the second segment of our episode. And this one's a real challenging one and a touchy one. When I was actually brought up with the idea of talking about it, I was really kind of scared about it because I was just thinking to myself, man, I mean, I know it's a serious subject. It's one of the serious ones that I have talked about in quite some time. I know, you know, I try to do my best, but, you know, sometimes I find myself when it comes to talking about certain serious issues and so forth, I do get a little bit nervous and I do bumble my words a little bit because I'm just afraid of how it's going to turn out. And I'm afraid that, you know, when people listen to it, that they're quick to shut it down and shoot it down because they're probably saying that what I'm saying is incorrect, or what I'm saying, you're missing the, some certain points, or you're missing the mark. I want to say this, ladies and gentlemen, to my defense. You know, when I talk about certain things, you know, I talk about certain things because I care. I never claimed to be an expert. No, you know, in a forum like this, a podcaster will give you their opinion and they'll give you their interpretation and their understanding of a subject. That doesn't make them, like, you know, worldwide experts in certain fields and so forth. I mean, obviously, if you need to have like a real honest opinion about a certain subject matter that requires a professional's opinion and point of view, then by all means, you definitely go to that source. Like, example, you know, you wouldn't ask me for medical advice, you know, because, I mean, I'm not a doctor. So it would really be in your best interest not to ask me for a medical diagnosis. I can give you an opinion, and I can give you a little bit of what I think the definition is. But at the end of the day, if you want to listen to it, that's where you kind of take the risk. I mean, the stuff that I talk about sometimes, I do acknowledge that it can be, it could be without the fact that I am not like a 100% expert. It's unsolicited, and that's just where we go. That's just where we go. So I'm going to go ahead and open it. In life, I want to say that it's always great to live with having a real good supportive network, a positive network. And what I mean by that is just having a group of people that by your side that you can rely on and talk to, and they will talk to you back in a very comfortable way, most of the time in a positive way, to help you to get back on track so that you would feel a little bit more better about yourself in more ways than one, mostly like in the emotional sense. And that usually comes with a lot of people, like, ideally family members, you know what I mean? Sometimes it can be people that are just like friends or mentors or, just confidants that you can talk to that would make you feel like you're at peace, because, and I've said this before, and it bears repeating again, we don't live in a perfect world, ladies and gentlemen. We really don't. That's just the bottom line. For every good in the world that we have, we're always going to deal with the bad. And that's just the normal way of life. It's the circle of life, if you will, quoting the Lion King. But that is really accurate. It's not far from the truth. That's the reality that we live in. And it really just breaks my heart sometimes when I hear certain things happen and the person that is going through those bad emotional situations, when they go to other people and they try to talk to them about the situation and trying to make the bad situation a good one, ends up not having a very good day because that person in question, who is supposed to be the positive network, turns out that they think in reverse. In that, and let me give you an example. If you're feeling bad about something happened, let's say, for example, that, fellas, I'll use this specifically. Let's say that you went out with a girl for many years and she meant the world to you, you know what I mean? And then you broke up, for whatever reason. But it affected you in a very bad way, in an emotional way. So let's say, for example, you go over to family and you talk about that. And most of those family members actually don't feel bad for you. They don't feel sorry for you. They just start ramming on you and they start disrespecting you and making you feel really bad about the situation. Or, you go to a couple of friends and talk about that situation and they do the same thing. Or even, let's say, worse, let's say that you're trying to go for a specific type of career. And obviously, maybe this career is something that's very good for you and you're passionate about it, but a lot of people don't feel the same way. And let's just say, for example, that you've been trying to achieve that success by, going towards that career path, that career choice. And for years, you keep going for it and it never happens. And then let's say one day you talk to your family and your family decides to ream on you real bad and just lay it on in and be so negative about your life choices and what you're doing and so forth. And they say mean things like, I don't even know why you're doing this because, you're never going to go anywhere with it. You don't have any type of potential at all. and that you're dumb and you're stupid and stuff like that. And they basically make you feel like you're suffocating and you're thrown against the wall, and you feel cringed that to a point where like you feel like you're a kid going into a fetal position. And that unfortunately is very terrible. It's very, very terrible. I read online recently, and it's very tragic. I was just like, I read it and I was like, oh man, that's crazy. There was a story about a kid outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And God bless him, because, all he wanted to do was that he wanted to become a film actor. And he wanted to, pursue that dream. And for many, many years, he was pursuing it locally around the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. And, obviously other places, I think, because I can only imagine that being an actor, he probably traveled like to another state just to go ahead and to get, some kind of work done in the world of acting, you know what I mean? And recently when I read his story, unfortunately he ended his life, and it was crazy. It was said that he was going through a lot, and that there was not really a support system. He actually did not have the support of his family. He did not have any support of any people that were friends. I don't know if he actually had any friends or anything like that. That part was not even specified. And, and it just saddened me. It really saddened me because, when I think about this situation, I think to myself, man, if this young guy had the support system that he really needed, somebody to talk to, somebody to confide in about this situation, and just, air out any grievances that he was feeling, because he was feeling bad emotionally about the struggles of being an actor, and just in the fact that he was in the wrong mindset. If he surrounded himself with certain right people, and especially positive people, I truly believe that he could still be with us and he would still chase the dream, and I think it's very important. It's very, very important, guys, to be there for people and to, I don't want to say do what's right, but just to be that type of support for them in their time of need. And not in their time of need, but just in, in life in general, just to see how they are and how they're doing. And I know it's a huge responsibility, and that's a big ask, but I don't think it's unreasonable that, when people turn to us and they need us to talk to them, to help them be in the right mind space, even by just being there with them and talking with them, it helps out. It really does, and it really makes that much of a difference. I try in my own personal life to try to be there for my friends and family members if they reach out, because the last thing I want to do is to be that person that says no, or to be that person that's going to be negative and say nasty things. Not that, to me, honestly, that's not in my nature anyways. As if you ask people that know me, they know that I try to be there for them, and I try to talk to them, and I try to see what's going on in their lives, because I believe that's important. That's really, really important. And I think it's best to have that type of system, because when you have that system, once again, you're putting yourself in a very good place, and you're trying to get back to where you should be, and you're trying to do that in a way that's very positive and not have any type of negative, backlash or anything of that sort. And I think that if we start doing that a little bit more for each other, I think the world, it would improve, Could it be in a better place? It can if we probably do stuff like this. You know what I mean? I mean, the world is already a bad place as it is because of a lot of negativity and a lot of press that we have. You know, people are really hating each other for a lot of things, or disrespecting each other for a lot of things. Unneeded? Absolutely. Absolutely. But I feel like, honestly, that if we really start being there for one another and supporting each other in the right way, then there's nothing that we can't do in our lives. You know what I mean? It's important to have a good support system. And I definitely highly encourage people to have a good support system. By that, have people in your corner that you feel very comfortable around with. And, you know, it can be family if you want it to. If you're not close with your family, then it could be your friends. If it's not friends, it could be, you know, people that you randomly talk to that you feel comfortable with. Either way, get a support system. You know, have people by your corner. Talk about the things that you need to talk about if there's an issue and it starts to be a real big deal. The last thing you want to do is really bottle it up inside and not tell somebody about what's going on, especially not telling somebody who you feel cares a lot about you, you know, and that you know that they are in your corner 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Or if not 24 hours a day, then at least to like the point where, like, if you really need to reach out to them, that they'll be there. For sure. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break. When we do come back, your favorite segment in mind will be in effect. That's right. The Q&A session, question and answer forum of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I'm really excited about it. And, you know, I just hope that you guys are too. And once again, guys, I'm just glad to be here. And I'm just glad to, you know, be in a creative mood and sharing it with you. And that you guys are listening. You know, it does mean a lot. So let's go ahead and take a break. We will return. We will come back. And more with the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience when we come back. Don't go anywhere, you know, for long, because we will be back and it will be fun. And yeah, you're just going to have to wait, guys. All right. We'll see you in a bit. In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We are back at it again. I really want to touch up on the last segment before we end things, and that is this, ladies and gentlemen. When it comes to having, anxiety and, mental health issues, it is very important to have a very good positive support system. And I hear all the time about there's like a little stigma going on. A lot of people have said things like, oh, anxiety doesn't exist. It's all in your head. You don't really feel it. It's just something that was like made up or something like that. Let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen, anxiety is something that does happen to people. Whether they want to admit it openly or they just want to keep it to themselves. It is real. People do suffer, and they suffer in silence, and sometimes they suffer in a big way. And sometimes we don't even understand what the heck is going on. We are only privy to whatever information that is being told to us by the person that is suffering from that anxiety. It's a real big one, guys. It really is. And I wish a lot of people would really be sensitive to that subject in that situation. Now, the best thing that you can do, number one, is that if the person is suffering with anxiety, one good thing that I would say, and I think it's important to have, is to have that good positive network of people to surround themselves with so that they know that they're not alone. But most importantly, I think that us as the people that are in that network should be sensitive to their needs and to just do whatever that we can in order to make sure that that person is okay. It's very important that we just do our best to support them and to do everything that we can. We cannot disrespect this situation of anxiety. Anxiety is real, guys. So for all those that think it's fake, that it's BS, it's something that does not exist, it's just a marketing tool and so forth, you guys are just misinformed of that. And if for anything at all, if you really need to know more about it, look it up online. The facts are there. So to anybody that thinks that, anxiety is BS and all that stuff, shame on you guys. Shame on you. I really wish that, you know better. That's all I'm going to say, that you guys know better. And the fact that, if you guys don't take it seriously, I dare you to walk on that side of the fence and see what it's like to have anxiety, to have something creep on you every day, to face the challenges knowing that it feels like it's a 1,000 knives all around you, and any which way that you turn, you might step into the blade, and it sucks. You know what I mean? So for anybody out there that is suffering in silence, for anybody out there that is suffering with anxiety and so forth, the only thing I can offer is my love and support. I will offer my prayers to you, and I am here for you. And if you need to talk, if you need to reach out to somebody, please do so. If it's not me, although I will offer it to you, if you want to talk to me about it, please do, and we can talk about it. But if not me, please go ahead and talk to somebody. Talk to somebody that you trust. Or if you can, talk to a professional about it. Go ahead and seek some professional help. Because there are some people that specialize in this type of situation that can probably get you the help that you need. So, yeah, reach out and so forth. You're not alone, and I love you guys, for real. Now, that being said, we are now about to do the greatest segment of them all, the Q&A forum, question and answer. We actually got 8 questions this time. I'm really shocked about it. Hector actually gave me the paper, and I was like, oh, wow. So I'm really excited about this one. This is something that normally I do about 7. 7's a good number. But I think 8 is pretty cool, too. Think of it this way. 8 is an even number. 8 points to an octagon. It's great. So let's just go ahead and answer these questions. I'm really pumped. Here we go. Question number 1. Kim, recently I heard an actor friend of mine wrote on her actor's resume that one of her skills on her skill set is karate, but she never took a class nor is ranked in any martial art. Is this bad? Winston from Tacoma Park, Maryland. Dude, all right. I actually know Tacoma Park, Maryland. That's actually around the corner. Winston, yes, it is bad. And the reason why it's bad is because, if you are called for, knowing martial arts and, and so forth, it possibly could increase your chances of landing a role in acting. You know what I mean? But if you list something in general that's false, like, let's say, for example, if you claim in your skill set that you know gymnastics and you know nothing about it, it's going to harm you tremendously. Same thing with the martial arts. They're going to ask you to do some stuff and to demonstrate. And if you do something like very bad where you don't know a darn thing, or it just looks awful, it might hurt your chances. You never want to lie about your skill set because, it's just a safety thing as well as, a thing where they just want to know who can we actually get to do these things. Now, if you have actually took karate and let's say you took it for a month, that's a little flex because there's some people that debate. I can list myself as a beginner, and that's fine if you're actively practicing. But if you took it for a month and you just stopped, then you can't say that you took martial arts, in terms of like, hey, I know it and so forth. You can't even say that you're a beginner. To me, that means you're an enthusiast. So just be honest about it. And just say, yeah, either you do know martial arts and you have trained for, let's say, over 3 months, and yeah, and that'll be good. If you don't know martial arts and they still pick you, but the role is for martial arts, then that's fine because at least the people of the stunt coordinator and the fight choreographers could help you do a little bit of like what they call movie fu, which is like the art of like doing like martial arts in film. They can help you with that, you know what I mean? So it's all good. Just be honest with the, what you have to put in your skill set of your acting resume, because sooner or later they will find out, and sooner or later they'll, it's like the word travels fast. So just think about it. Question number 2. Kim, knowing that the series Young Sheldon is over, do you think that the new spin-off series Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage will be a success or a flop? Christy May from Mobile, Alabama. All right. Christy, yes. That whole series, with Young Sheldon and The Big Bang Theory, I always thought that those two were great successes and great series for television and television history. I really think that Georgie and Mandy's First Marriage will probably meet that expectation. I think it'll be a success. It'll be amazing. The two actors that played Georgie and Mandy are going to be back into it again, and it's incredible. It's going to be interesting because it's a different storyline now. So it's going to be a thing where like Sheldon's not there, Missy's not there, the mom is not there. Obviously, Big George passed away. So it's going to be a different type of situation in a different scenario. And I'm hoping that it will succeed. I think by reputation already and where it's coming from, it's already going to be a success. But does that actually mean like it's a guaranteed success? No. But I'm theoretically saying that I think it will be a success. So that's where it's at. Question number 3. Kim, if you were to be a dog owner, what would be the perfect dog for you? Calvin from Vancouver, Washington. Calvin, very good question. That's an interesting one, actually. off of the top of my mind, I really would think that the Cavalier King Charles Spaniel is the definite dog for me. They're great small dogs. They have an awesome temperament with a sweet, gentle, and loving nature. They're cheerful and affectionate and friendly towards people, other dogs, and other animals. This is one of those dogs that I feel like you can't really go wrong with them. You know what I mean? They're a dog. They're nice. They can be outdoors, but I think mostly they're indoors, but they can be outdoors. And, they're one of those dogs that, would not hardly they will ever give you a problem. It's a good chance that, you'll never get any bad reaction from them. You know what I mean? So that would be my dog of choice. That really would. And I just know that's a little bit more my speed, A nice, friendly dog, somewhat good energy, doesn't require, you have to make them run around for days and so forth. That would be the way to go. Question number 4. Oh, my goodness. Kim, how excited are you for the new Deadpool and Wolverine movie? And will you go to the movie theaters to see it? Devin Lee from Boise, Idaho. Well, Devin Lee, am I going to see that movie? Absolutely. I definitely will when I have the time. That is for sure. And yes, I am excited to see this movie. I've already heard a lot of good things about it. I've already seen Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. You know what I mean? And I love everything about it. I love the action. I think it's amazing. I expect a lot of, good things coming out from this movie for Deadpool and Wolverine. I expect a lot of action. I expect a lot of comedy. I think it's just going to be a real good film. Ryan Reynolds, a great actor. And he did a great job with the Deadpool series. Hugh Jackman as Wolverine or Logan once again. It's going to be awesome. How they'll actually work together, side by side, like a team, is an interesting dynamic. That's the interesting question. But that I think we'll figure out. I mean, either way, we're probably going to be getting a lot of our money's worth out of this particular film. And, for anybody that's a fan, especially for, being a fan of, comic books and having, movies made based out of comic books, I think it's pretty cool, example, I like the Deadpool movies, the X-Men movies, I love the Avengers. I love the Superman and Batman movies. I'm all about that. You know what I mean? So I'm excited. I'm really excited. So yeah, buckle up, ladies and gentlemen. I do think that Deadpool and Wolverine, the movie, is going to be a great movie, and it's definitely worth the investment. Question number 5, Kim, how do you deal with people who you would like to have on your podcast show as a guest, and they never get back to you? What do you do? How do you deal with that? Ronald from Austin, Texas. Okay, Ronald. That's a very good question. It's very interesting. This is my answer. This is what happens. There are guests out there that even still to this day, I would really love to interview them, because I believe that they have quite the talent, and so forth. And I have so much respect for them. Right now there are a couple of singers and people and so forth, and I really try to get them in there. And at first, what I do is, what I did was I extended that invitation. I said, hey, I would really love to interview you. I think it'd be a great opportunity. It's a great opportunity for you because you get tons of exposure, and you basically commercialize yourself about who you are and what you're known for. You know what I mean? It's great. And it's also great for me because it provides an episode for me for my podcast show, and the fact that I have more guests that I interview would be amazing. It's not going to be just such like a one-sided thing. I love interviewing people, and I love the chance to really sit down, have the good old-fashioned chin wag or chat, and just have a ball with it. There are some times, though, that what happens is that either they forget or, something happens. So I give them a little bit of a friendly reminder once again, periodically, and let them know what's going on. If at that point they just don't make an effort to, get in there, even though I do give them like an immediate clue, like, hey, let's do this. When do you want to do this? Because I feel like when I say, when do you want to do this? I feel like at that point, the ball is in their court. And if they don't really answer the call, at that point, I just have to move on. And it's nothing against them as people, but it's just like, I have to keep going. I really have to keep my podcast going, and I have to keep doing this. I have to keep providing content after content after content. And, if they don't take advantage, then the train passed them by. And it's nothing, again, it's nothing against them, but they have to be the ones that have to communicate to me and say, okay, well, if you're really serious about this, let's go ahead and talk about my availability and my scheduling and so forth. And it's a shame because as talented as certain individuals are, and also, how well that they're doing in their field, it makes me as the podcaster feel bad because it's like, I want to do this, but, for some weird reason, it's just not happening. And, at that point, I can't really blame myself because I'm basically doing everything that I possibly can to make it happen. And that's where it's at. And I'm hoping, honestly, that, to those individuals that I reached out to, that we can really, we can make this happen. It's just a real bad situation. It's just something that unfortunately, it just doesn't work out, and it sucks, and I feel bad about it. But hey, I mean, it is what it is, We just roll on, we move on, we do what we do, and that's it. I don't think that there's anything more to the story than that, and I can't say anything more than just that. So that's just where it's at. That's where it's at. Hey, Gavalt. Oh well. At least we can say that we tried, right, folks? At least we can say that we tried. So, all right. Anyways, here we go. Question number 6. Oh my God. Oh, here we go. Kim, in your opinion, when you are a black belt competing in martial art tournaments like karate or taekwondo, when is it time to retire? Roberta from St. Petersburg, Florida. Roberta, you really hit a very good question to me. You threw it and it just slapped me in my face hard. I have to be honest with you, it really depends on the situation. There are many times that people decide to go ahead and retire and so forth, and it's right. It's, rightfully so. Some people just know when it's his time because they no longer have the competitive drive anymore. It could also be a thing where, it might be a physical thing where, physically they cannot keep up. And at that point, that is a good indicator right then and there that, maybe it is time to retire. Another thing, in my opinion, is I think that when you reach a certain point in your life, like, you know, when you reach like a certain rank, like let's say, for example, if you're a fifth degree black belt, you know what I mean? I feel like at that point, that time is sailed. You know, I think that you've done already so much for the art and for competing in martial arts tournaments that you really have nothing to prove at that point. You know, it's more so it's time to give back to your martial arts students and to your martial arts community. You know, you've done your duty, you know, and you've shown that you have competed with, you know, if you're a male, that you competed with the big boys, and if you're a woman, that you competed with the big girls. You know what I mean? And you done what you need to do. Sometimes I just feel a little bit weird about, like, there might be somebody that's 60 years old and that's an 8th degree black belt and still competing, and I'm, you know, from the side of it, I'm just like, okay, well, respect to you for still wanting to kick out there and compete and mix it up with everybody in your division. But, you know, there comes a point, ladies and gentlemen, that I feel like, you know, you done enough. There's nothing more to prove. I mean, yes, you have competed in martial arts and you have placed and you did well, and nobody's going to disrespect that. Nobody's going to disrespect that. It's just time at that point that, you know, leave it to the next generation. You know, we've had our time. We've had our time. Let the new breed, let the new generation do what they do. All right. Question number 7. Kim, what are your opinions on people quitting the martial arts, not reaching black belt, and talking about making a comeback? Ricardo from Tarzana, California. Okay. Still sticking with the martial arts theme. Ricardo, good question. Here's the thing, Ricardo. A lot of people stop for a lot of reasons. Whether, you know, quote unquote life took over, or just, you know, people can't afford the lessons anymore because it is very getting expensive. Some people actually you know, give up due to injury and so forth, and they can't come back, and I get it. If it's one of those things where it's an injury, I definitely get it, and there's no way of coming back, then, you know, there's nothing that you can do. You know, that's just the bottom line right there. And I get that. Let me give you an example. I know a cousin of mine that trained in the same martial arts school as I did, and had since that time in his adult life, he actually suffered a knee injury, and it was pretty bad. And it was to the point where, like, his knee's not functioning the same. Like, he can still bend and so forth and walk, but it just, like, physically, it's not functioning as well as he hoped. And when it was asked if he could continue on, you know, with his martial arts training, the medical doctor thought in his best interest it probably would not be the best idea. So in that sense, I understand and I get it. For the others, you know, I feel like it is a little bit disappointing, because it's like, if you were one belt away from earning a black belt, that's got to be eating you inside. You know what I mean? Because that is the one rank you let slip away. And I've known a lot of people that have done that. Now, if people are actually talking about making a comeback and that they're inspired and they will go ahead and, you know, earn that black belt, I would say this. I do hear that a lot. I hear that as a common you know, phrase, or a common a response that I hear all the time. Oh, Kim, don't worry about it. I'm going to come back to karate. I'm going to go back and I'm going to train and I'm going to go ahead and earn my black belt. I believe that the intention is there. But the thing about it is, I come from a situation where it's like, you can talk the talk, but you got to walk the walk. You know, don't tell me, show me, because anybody can go ahead and say something like that. But how many people are really going to be brave enough to rise to the occasion and to really do it? You know, that's the thing. And I just hope that, you know, for people that do want to come back, they are going to come back, and they are going to train consistently and to train to reach a black belt. I don't want people to go ahead and talk a good game saying, hey, I'll make it, I'll come back. And they say that, and then 3 years later, it's still the same thing that you're going to say that. I mean, you know, if you're scared, say you're scared, and that's fine. If there's something that's going on, just say it like, hey, I'm not going to come back. You know, at least I'd rather hear you say that I'm not coming back, I'm not making a comeback, versus that you're saying something and then 3 or 4 years later you're still saying the same thing. You know, I feel like at that point you're kind of wasting your time, and you're, you know, it's a dead promise. You know, so don't make dead promises. Make real promises. Last one. Last question of the whole thing. Question number 8. Kim, if you could give advice to the world, what would it be? Barbara from Nogales, Arizona. Oh, God. Barbara, that is a very technical question. That is a thing where, you know, there's so much going on there. It's not even funny. I will answer it like this. I would say to the world that we need to really love each other rather than hate each other. I mean, the world is already, you know, bad enough as it is, where there's a lot of hate in the world. And we hate each other for a lot of reasons. Whether if it's a different orientation, or the way that maybe we think a certain way in terms of politics, whatever. You know, it could be a thing from, like, you know, I don't like you because you play video games and read comic books, or I don't like you because, you know, you are very intelligent. And at that point, I feel like that's crap. You know, I think we really need to love each other, and we need to respect each other. You know what I mean? It's only fair and right. I can understand if you hate somebody because they threatened you and they literally tried to take your life or something like that. But I feel like if they didn't do that, then why hate on people? Why really throw the shade? Why are you trying to, you know, why are you giving them crap, you know, and giving them the silent treatment? It's a little bit wrong, and it's ridiculous. You know, if they didn't do anything to you, again, in that manner where they tried to take your life or something like that, then you have really no reason to. So I think we should really try to love each other and really respect each other. Try to be positive with each other and not be negative towards people. You know what I mean? It's already bad enough that people are acting negative towards other people, and we need to stop that. We need to change that. I would say, you know, we need to listen a little bit more. We need to be, when it comes to certain things that we do it with sincerity. We have to be sincere. And yeah, that's all I would say for right now. If there's anything that I missed, I would probably address it later. But I think that's a good start. You know, it's a good start. And I'm really happy about that. Well, that's it. That's all that we got. You know, all the questions are addressed on the Q&A, and I'm really happy about that. I want to give people a friendly reminder that now we are actually doing a thing where you, the listener, can help sponsor our podcast by helping out with our voluntary fundraiser. so that we can raise funds to improve the quality of our podcast. Now, I'm not saying that our podcast isn't good, but financially, if we did get a little bit more, it does help out a little bit more, and all the proceeds that we that we earn will go directly to our podcast, so we can help get things that we need, supplies that we need, like more microphones for our guests, excellent XLR cables for those microphones, earphones, and just better recording equipment. You know what I mean? And eventually a better computer, because we work on a MacBook Pro, and we want to get the latest MacBook Pro possible, so we can actually start working with, the latest software that we need, and the software that's provided by Shure Microphone. So if you want to help give us any type of sponsorship, we do appreciate that, and you can donate it financially. You can donate via PayPal and Venmo to @KimHoangMDActor. That's KimHoangMDActor. If you have CashApp, you can donate it to $KimHoangMDActor. Once again, that's $KimHoangMDActor. Any amount is good. And I say this part as a joke. Any amount of money that you donate would be appreciated. Like, let's say, for example, if you were generous and you want to donate $5 million, God bless you. That'd be great. Although, realistically, I don't see that happening. Or you can donate as little bit as $5. $5 is awesome. You can go ahead and sponsor us and donate anytime that you want. Like, if you want to do it once a month, twice a month, if you want to do it 3 times a month, if you want to do it 4 times in a month, or if you want to do like once a month, but if you want to do like a one big whole donation of a monthly donation, we can do that too. It's awesome. And again, it's to improve the quality of our podcast. We really want to improve for you guys, so that when you hear the quality, you can be like, wow, they really did it up. It's pretty amazing. It's pretty incredible. We're also thinking about, with the money that we earn, we will probably end up at some point try to do a visual portion of the Kim Hoang podcast experience. Maybe do it on YouTube and so forth. But again, that will require a lot. So if you want to help us get there, please do all you can. Help sponsor us and, donate to our podcast show. That being said, let's go ahead and end it up. We are on a lot of social media platforms. Obviously, we are on Facebook. You can find us there. Right in the search box, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, and we're there. We're also on other social media platforms such as Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X. You can find us at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, lowercase letters. If you find us, follow us, and we will follow you. Also, podcasting platforms. We belong to a lot of them. Spotify, Apple Podcasts. We are on Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and now Audible, which is a podcasting platform and a platform for books, online books, audiobooks. It's a service that is created by Amazon. If you actually sign up now as a new member, you get a 1-week subscription for free. Then after that, it's $15 a month. So please like us on all the podcasting platforms and subscribe to us on all of the podcasting platforms. Now, do us a solid favor. If you have Spotify and Apple Podcasts, number one, make sure that you give us a 5-star ranking, because that does help us out and it goes a long way. Now, this happens here specifically on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star ranking, please give us a great positive written review. Now, what that does for both those platforms is that the more times that you give us great, excellent rankings of 5 stars, and in Apple Podcasts, if you also give us a positive written review, then you basically help us get to the front of the class. Our podcast will be thrown out there into the front lines and people will see it and they'll probably go, hey, that's the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. I heard about this. Mary told me about it and she said that we should check it out. And yes, you should check it out. Yes, you should, go ahead and listen to it, like and subscribe to it. Yes, all of that. Also, please share spread the word about our podcast, whether if you're doing it in person, telling a friend or a family member or a coworker, and, also spread it out on social media. We got Facebook, Instagram, we have that Twitter, now known as X. We now have, Snapchat. We also have TikTok. Let people know. Let people know that, we are down. We are down and it's awesome. It's great. And I like it. I like it a lot. Last but not least, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to be a guest host, if you have any constructive criticism and or if you have any questions for us that you would like to submit for a Q&A, you can email us at thekimhoangpodcastexperience@gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, write it in the subject box. And then after that, whatever you want to write in the body of the email, write it out and then send it out there. I will check it out. And if you do email me and you have something to say, I will read it and I will get back to you within a day or two, because I do like to email people. I like correspondence and it's awesome. So that's it, guys. That is all. I just want to say thank you for once again spending your time with us. It's great to be here. It's great to spend time with you, and I love it. And we're going to still be doing this, and we're still going to have a lot of fun. And if you still want us to do it, well, we're still going to do it. It's going to be incredible. That being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is all the time that we got. That is all the time that we got. And I'm really happy. I'm really excited. And, there's going to be more episodes coming in the pipeline, so don't worry about it. There's more on the way. Thank you so much. Please be safe out there. Keep on doing the things that, we need to do, because it doesn't do us any good for us to do bad things in our lives. And that's bad for us, because if we get buried 6 feet under, that's not where we want to be. And, I don't want you to be there. I want you to be healthy. I want you to be happy. I want you to be living your life. I want you to be surrounded by good people that people love you. And I want you to be surrounded within a good, positive network, because you do deserve that. And, anybody that tells you that you don't is really full of it. So, that being said, I love you guys. I really appreciate it. I'm the voice and I'm the choice, and we're going to do it again. So for the one time, recording in our beta room in the Asian Sensation Studios here in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area, this is your boy Kim Hoang saying thank you. I love you. God bless you. And we will do it again real soon, guys. All right. It has been lovely. And we'll see you on the next one. Peace.